Hello everyone. So today I decided to make a shorter video for sure. I'll see how brief I can make this one, but also still kind of relax. Uh, it's kind of scripted because I do have like a schedule, but it's not really scripted in the sense of what I'm saying. Again, so today, well, you can tell by the title, it's gonna be about just explaining fate and how I view fate and how fate is literally the true narrative, I would say. Once you realize it, you can't go back, and if you don't realize it, then you're just playing stubborn. But the thing is, so this is the crash course thing. So like basically for toddlers, or like for children or teenagers who literally just use crash course for their studies, etc. This is Crash Course Philosophy. The title's right here. And like I said, I'm trying to be brief. So there's different types of determinism, as you can see here. It's talking about hard determinists. There's different types as you go down. So this is just like the basic briefing of it. Um, but yeah, I like to just use this as a reference, first of all, because of course, you don't want to hear only my take on it. So you can watch this entire video. Of course, if I watch this entire video, it would make the video uploaded, just like the one I did on the AI stuff, and at the end the singularity. But yeah, this is like the second most important thing to me. It may even be the singularity in importance, but yeah, if you want to watch that other video, that's the AI video I made recently to this, you can watch that one as well. But enough said. Let's watch this specific clip of the guy talking about determinism, which is fate.
Desires and temperaments swirling around in our brains. So in
You
this
see the
view, what we
subtitles
call
there?
decisions are really just the inevitable result of a bunch of mental stuff combining in just the right way. And maybe it feels free, but it's not.
Okay, so basically he just said it's a bunch of mental stuff. And I'll elaborate on what I like my take on it. I'm trying to make this video like at least around 10 minutes, give or take. But he said mental stuff. It can also be chemical, as I'll discuss later on. But yeah.
But hold up, isn't there some way out of this? Like, what if I have someone choose my breakfast for me? Or what if I fall back on randomness by, like, flipping a coin? After all...
And then randomness is also not a real thing. I'll touch upon that at the end with something in particular.
If I just flipped a coin, then it wouldn't look like that decision was made by beliefs, desires, and temperaments. But, well, no such luck, because even if I thought I chose randomly, my decision to flip the coin...
When I mean randomness, I don't mean like a fucking dice roll. I mean like actual randomness. Because even though, well, I'll touch upon it in the so just stay tuned for that.
Or who I asked to pick for me was just as determined as everything else. And guess what? If you're getting angry right now about me telling you that none of your choices are free, well, that anger was determined. If you're finding this whole topic confusing or boring, yup, still determined. You think you can freely choose to stop playing this video, but if you're still watching me, good news, that's determined too. Determinists believe that you can't help but feel and react the way you're reacting right now. You can think you're choosing to act in ways that conform to the character that you've selected and shaped for yourself, but even that choice is the result of all sorts of already determined factors about you and your place in the world.
Stop there. So basically, he was on both sides. He was fence sitting at the start, but then eventually he had to conclude with the determinists at the end. So what does that tell you? So let's skip over to the next thing to touch upon when discussing this. This is supposed to be the thumbnail of this video. So it's called a time and fate conceptualized example. So there's a description of it in my DeviantArt, but I'll just summarize it from my perspective as in 2026 because this was made 2021, September 6th, 2021. So quite a while. So let's go over it. I'll go over this thing in a second, but let's go over this part. So this is just the same image. So basically, let's read all of this. Red leads into point E. E is the purple one here. Lines connect, become more concentrated, closer it gets to point E. Lines signify connections through time. Letters signify the points, all colors. E is the major point. It connects all points and acts as a climax. before losing all concentration and starting over again. Then it goes F, G, H, and I, etc. Other points after. So basically, all this is a simplified example that I made in 2021, it's like 5 years ago, of just showcasing how fate works through time. So you can think of your life as just a bunch of these. Don't think of it as a singular one because, of course, there's a lot of events that go through your life. You can think of your life, you can think of anybody's life as just a bunch of these. And the letters were just used to simplify, of course, because everybody knows letters. It could be anything. You can use symbols, you can use whatever to, it's basically the same concept. So you can see with the lines that some are more faded than others. You can see A to B is the most faded, B to C has a little bit more potency to it, and C to D is starting to get really, really red, right? And the same thing applies here. So basically, all of that was to just showcase how this works. So um, let me use an example. So you can say that I first had A to B. I first had the idea of making this video. B to C, I started to. This is off the fly, by the way. I'm just thinking in my head. B to C, I decided to organize everything for the video. So it's getting closer to the climax, which is the E. B to C, I decided to make everything for the video. C to D, I decided to edit the video. And D to E, I decided to reach to publishing the video. And E will be the point where I have finally published this video. That is just one example. Then after that, you go E to F, of course, the video is published. So a lot of the climax, the energy from the climax, pause by the way, but a lot of the energy from that has fizzled out. That always happens. Whenever you reach a point of major event like E, things start to fizzle out. So you go E to F, it's fizzled out, F to G, H to I, and it starts to build back up again. As you can see, the lines start to get darker, and it will continue like this. So if you were doing the same thing over and over, that can loop. So for example, let's use another case in that uh, let's see, let's say A to B now is a dog found some food. B to C is a dog went closer to the food. C to D is a dog, the dog ate the food. And D to E is a dog fucking took a shit, right? Um, and then let's say, for example, E to F, that same dog is gonna go do the exact same process of finding food, going closer to it, and then eating it, and then shitting it out. Um, you'll end it, like I said, it's just a letter. The letters are just letters, but it will eventually lead back to a climax. These events in life, once you realize that, you can actually manipulate it because you can realize that no matter what you do, eventually all these things are going to lead to a major point where it's going to have the most energy. It's going to be the most climactic of the events. And there's little you can do to stop that. You can make it so that you try to stop the flow of, think of it like a river, right? You can make it so that you try to stop the flow of a river, but when you try to stop the flow of a river, guess what happens? As soon as you move whatever was blocking that from the river, guess what? The river starts to go way stronger in flow. So that's basically the same just as trying to stop a climax. You can try to stop a climax, but in the end, that climax is going to come back way stronger than what it was before, which is basically the E. And that's the gist of this entire diagram. So, like I said, you can have multiple of them to represent your life per se, but essentially, it's still just that same principle in the end. I think this video will end up going over the 10-minute mark, but I try my best because it's a bit deeper of a video for real. So it might be like I'm assuming 15, 20 minutes. I don't think it might be over 20, but let's see. Um, this one is talking about how This is just the summary of all things, so I'll just read it out. Um, from my perspective, so fate is objective slash concrete, free will is subjective slash illusion. Again, nature existing between two scopes of reality, a dichotomy as always, because this argument is gonna, even though I'm making this video, who gives a fuck about this video? This argument is gonna last as long as humans have fucking brains that they don't use, forever. So no matter what, these dichotomy arguments of like like atheism versus theism, for example, etc., etc., these things are gonna last no matter what, and that's pretty unfortunate, but it is what it is. Um, and yeah, this is also my DeviantArt. If you want, you can search for it. Um, Simply put, this is because fate is propagated by cause and effect, which exists no matter what, in any form of reality. Because reality requires sequencing of events, just like the diagram from before, in order for it to exist in an orderly manner. Cause and effect, as simply as if I do this, this will happen after, which will lead to this and this, etc. ad nauseum. So yeah, fate, determinism, cause and effect, as you can tell from the title of this video, are basically all the same thing. Free will does not have this. It is not cause and effect. It is simply an illusion based around that entities have control over their actions, or entities or people, basically. But this contradicts the idea of cause and effect, which makes it impossible. The only thing entities have supposed control over is their behavior, if they choose to change that in the future or not. This can then affect their future from the time of alleged changing. But other than that, all this does is make it so that you may do things differently in the future. It does not affect cause and effect at all. So it does not affect fate at all. That's basically also what that guy was saying in the crash course at the end there. Like, yeah, you may think you're doing things that feel like you're in control. Like if I move my mouse, for example, which I'm using to navigate this document, I feel like I'm the one doing that in the moment, correct? But at the same time, it's also my brain deciding to do, like, it's my brain, it's the nerves in my body that's also causing that, and it's not my decision to really move that mouse, basically. It's just a matter of what happened before that's causing me to move that mouse. So let's continue. Behavioral change simply as if I decide to be nicer or decide to be worse, then I'll be nicer or worse in the future because I decided to. This is the closest thing that free will has, in my opinion. Because if you decide to like change your habit right now, but at the same time that also is not a thing, because you can do that, but it's also like you decided to watch this video, like if you decide to change your habits right now, you decide to watch this video, which was something that happened because of maybe you were bored, which is a chemical thing in your body, you wanted to watch something. Like these things, these are factors that are out of your control, and eventually it doesn't really mean that you decide to do it. It means that the chemicals or like it's the factors that are out of your control, basically, that are making you do everything in life. So again, yet that behavioral change does not mean that my actions are still not manipulated through cause and effect. Henceforth, my actions are more so driven by the sequential order of cause and effect, rather than my own changes towards my behavior. And what interests me the most with fates, or like I said, whatever you want to call it, under many names, it's it affects everything. that's the that's the crux of the matter. That's the major thing that makes me really, really think hard about everything that goes on in this life, in this existence. That fate is the driving force of every single thing you can think of. Even making this video right now, as I mentioned before, is a product of fate. And having that in mind, it makes you think like, well, like I'll go on to that further on. So just stick to the video, right? Uh, so it is an additional note here. Additional note: fate can be put into roughly two categories. biological slash chemical, as seen in the Matrix restaurant scene. You can also look at this. It touches upon it pretty well, although I know some people are like, "Oh, the Matrix is a weird movie," but it's like I mean, it's kind of corny at the same time, but it there's a scene here that kind of explains the same thing. The lady's basically in the restaurant. She is eating something and she has a upset in her stomach or whatever, and basically she has to go to the bathroom. Um, it just proves that we really don't have control over a lot of these things. There's also the divine slash synchronicity slash happenstance, which ties into things that happen strangely in your life that you can't really explain, like one in a million or one in a billion chance odds of happening that you start to notice only when you realize, wait, how did I meet this person here when we don't really have anything in common, but we met each other? How, or things of that nature. Like, how is it possible that this person was born so close to me? Stuff like that, right? And at the end here, I just wrote, life is extreme cause and effect. Just because we do not have the godly power to detect every single one of them does not mean it's not happening in the background. If is the cause, and then is the effect. So every action in life can be said, if then. Uh, if I feel pain, then I go to the doctor. If I if I want to paint, then I pull out my paintbrush. If, whatever you want to use as an example, every single thing in life can be defined by if then. Try it. Try it for yourself and you'll see what I mean. Every single action in your life. Just put it under if and then, and you'll see that fate is real. On top of that, there was this one video a while back. I can't remember who made it, but there was this one guy who was trying to use photons and I think radioactivity as well as randomness, 50-50 stuff to like right here to say that, oh well, there is actually true randomness, but that still is not a thing. Even if you roll dice, etc., etc., there's no real randomness. A simple example you can think of, I'll just let this entire page show because I don't think I actually posted on some DeviantArt. So if you want to pause any of these particular things, because I ran it through JPT just to get a second opinion, quick on the matter, a while back. I can't remember when exactly, but this might have been like a year or two ago. By now, maybe 3 years tops. Um, but basically, even if you were to roll a dice, for example, um, all you would have is that being rolled on whatever medium you're using it on, like a table or whatever. All you would have is that being rolled, and when that is rolled as an object, you will have, as long as it's not a loaded dice, of course, you will have the dice being along that table or medium, whatever the medium is, if it's a table, if it's fucking floor, all that will happen is that depending on how that was rolled, basically, if it clanked on something, if it was rolled really hard, if you however you threw it, basically all these factors will go into that um, and decide what you get. If it's a 8, if it's a 5, um, whatever size the dice has will be determined by all these factors that come into play of how you threw it, what was the medium like, how hard was it, etc., etc. So yeah, in that case, that's for dice. But even in the case of this photon stuff and quantum stuff, where they say, oh, in the quantum realm or whatever you want to call it, in the quantum space of science, there could be randomness. Yeah, right. Um, I don't think so because um, let me see if I can find it right here. Right, so this is my view here with determinism with regards to this. I'm saying, back in the day, I'm saying that cause and effect underlie everything. Free will is an illusion. All behavior follows deterministic patterns. I'm saying that randomness equals ignorance, not truth. Even quantum events have causes. We just don't understand them yet, which is true because every time you search up about quantum shit, scientists are like, this might not be 100% certain, blah, 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 blah. Like, you're trying to basically check things that you have little understanding about. Not saying that you not shouldn't check them for that in the first place, but at the same time, why even bring up things as if they're factual when you, like I said, don't understand them fully yet? And this is the most important part. A sufficiently powerful being like a god could predict all events. So, in my opinion, this line right here just eliminates the entire thing of the quantum randomness per se. Why is that? Because it ties into similarly what I would have written here. Um, just because we do not have the godly power to detect every single one of them, as in the cause and effects of life, the ifs and the thens, that does not necessarily mean that it's not happening in the background. So again, to wrap up this whole video, if God knew it all, if there was a God per se, let's just say there is a God. If you're atheist or whatever, just assume, right? Because I'm a theist, but let's just assume there is a God, right? This God will. The only reason we don't perceive cause and effect is because one, we're ignorant, but well, most people are ignorant, but at the other time as well, it's also that we're not keeping track of every single factor of our lives. We can't. We're beings that have brains that are just faulty. We have human errors, a lot of human errors, in fact, um, and we don't have all the things, all the capacity, all the capabilities that a god can have, basically. And a god, especially that's perfect, that knows it all, that can understand it all, can see it all. A god like that can know your future from as soon as you're born to when you die, because they will just be able to all they need to do, if they don't just see it outright, is all they would need to do is just follow your cause and effect lines, every single factor, every single, even to the touch of like a molecule, or like how the air blows, or how the wind blows, basically, or like what you ate, what you ate last night. They can figure out every single factor down to the tiniest detail, and they can use that to calculate or determine per se how your life will go through. And the only thing I think that might make somebody's life different is, say, if there was quote unquote this thing of the alternative universes where there are certain factors that are slightly different. I think that's the only thing that can slightly cause some randomness, just giving a little bit of credence to the randomness thing. But that's if there is this alternative universe nonsense that's seen in Hollywood, etc. Besides that, though, we are still stuck in this universe. Whatever universe I am talking to you in with this medium of the video is the universe that we're in right now. So no matter that, just you can cut off that theory of this alternate universe nonsense entirely, because again, just because we don't have the godly power to detect every single one of them doesn't mean that it's not happening in the background. We are stuck to this factor in life where all of these factors that are taking place before are deciding what's taking place now or after, basically. And that's basically the gist of it. You would have to have this thing, this theoretical Hollywood nonsense of there being alternative universes to change events, and even then, they may not be like events that are. They might be events that are slightly different, and that would only have to factor into the butterfly effect, where things might change. A slight change might lead to a bigger outcome, or like snowball, basically. But that's all theoretical. The main part is that what I am talking to, the universe that I am talking to in right now from this video, that we are both in right now, or like both parties, the person or persons watching this video and myself, the universe that we are in right now is determined by the factors solely within that universe. You cannot change the factors that are solely within that universe. And all that we are doing in life is just perceiving the cause and effect. We are not the masters of this. We don't have any agency in this. Because all we are having is if and thens over and over and over again. Every single if and then since you were born to the time you die is an if and then. And that's cause and effect. That's fate. That's determinism.